Welcome to the Creative Differences Podcast. I'm Gabby, and are you surprised to hear me first? Because Dallas is off avenging the death of a random stranger.
I'm Colin, and the problem is that they're not random strangers. So what has Dallas been doing when he's not? I have a lot of questions.
And I'm Demi, and I'm very happy with how thematically relevant Gabby made that. Welcome to the Creative Differences Podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, fancast Fridays, Throwback Thursdays, and a number of other pop culture-related items. Today, we are reviewing two smaller movies than we usually would. We are reviewing Vengeance and Not Okay. Before we get started, please make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe this video, please. We need followers. Help us, please. Like, share, and subscribe, or all of social media will turn against you.
There you go.
Ooh, they be doing that.
Good one.
They do be doing that. All right, let's get started with Vengeance, directed and written by B.J. Novak, starring B.J. Novak, Boyd Holbrook, J. Smith Cameron, Dove Cameron, Ashton Kutcher, and Issa Rae. A radio host from New York City attempts to solve the murder of a girl he hooked up with and travels down south to investigate the circumstances of her death and discover what happened to her. What this does not mention is that he makes a podcast out of it.
Which is in the trailer, so why would the summary
Which is
not?
also-
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's also on the poster, on the movie poster. He's wearing like podcaster, like sound
It
headphones.
also says, the synopsis also says he's a radio host, and he's not. He's very, very clear about the fact that he is a writer for The New Yorker. So,
Yeah, he corrects people all the time. He's like the New York.
Gabby, what do you think of the movie?
Okay. So this movie was a lot darker than I thought it would be. Although, unfortunately, the trailer did spoil it for me a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, boo." Overall, I liked it. It unsettled me a little bit, especially toward the end, which I was like, "Wow." It was also a little bit funnier than I thought it would be. I thought it would be much more melancholic, but I liked it.
Yeah, I loved it. This might be one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I love the movies that are super open and direct about exploring their ideas and theories about life, which this one does. From the jump, it's very obvious that this movie has something to say about society, and it's obvious that B.J. Novak has something to say as a director, which is great, seeing as one of the themes of the film is finding your own voice and using it. But yeah, I thought the story was great and like extremely compelling with a lot of humor, but like also a lot of heart as well. I think it would have been easy for them to just fall into like cliches, especially with the characters who are from the South, who are from Texas. But I really love those characters and how dynamic and alive that they feel. And like, I thought it was clever and incisive. I think the trailer makes it seem like it might lean very heavy on satirizing rural conservative communities. But I think that the movie also is just as quick to make a commentary about big city liberals. And I think BJ Novak did a great job.
Yeah, I think, I listened to, he was on a podcast recently. I can't remember if it was Smartless or if it was Josh Horowitz's podcast. Those kind of blur into each other for me. um, but he mentioned that he spent a huge part of the pandemic in a community like the one in the film.
Oh,
And
crazy.
yeah. And so like doing research for kind of what he wanted to do, because he had the idea, but he was like, I don't know. I don't want to portray the people as a stereotype. So I think I have to go down there. And he did. And he thought at first no one would welcome him. But eventually, when he started opening up and telling them he wanted to write a movie, but he wanted to do it fairly, people started like opening their doors and welcoming him in. And he really started to get a sense of the community. And he did spend quite a bit of time there. And so I think you can see that in the movie, because while it seems like everybody is free game, like New York liberals are free game, but so are the people in this community, there's also a kind of kinder approach too, because I feel like while more rural parts of the country can be like sometimes unforgiving to diversity, so it's easy to lampoon them from a more urban side or more like city industrial side of things. I still think that while he criticized them, he also treated them with a lot of kindness.
Yeah, I feel like he could have been like really rude about it. Like he could have done like what most movies do. Like I said, it could have just been a complete stereotype of what Southerners are like. And instead, you really grow attached to these people. I feel like you grow fond of them, which even in the movie itself, the characters are supposed to be people that are compelling and interesting. And like you listen to the podcast and you're like, wow, these people feel like my own family, even though they're really different from what you might be used to, even if you're from the city. And I think that BJ Novak not only does a great job of directing and writing the film, but also as the lead character Ben, who I think is extremely likable, but also incapable of seeing his own flaws.
Yes, I love that because it's peak white boy. It's like every white boy you've met at every like liberal event. I loved his interactions with Issa Rae at the beginning because it was
Yes.
like, oh, we've all had this conversation with this exact white boy. Just it's just really relatable.
But like, yeah, you're rooting for him on this journey, but also like the more the movie goes along, the more flawed he realizes he is, and the more flawed you see that he is. And I think that's really, really good. I also think Boyd Holbrook
As I live and breathe, the Wolverine.
is just so funny and just
Yes, it was him. I was like, is that who I think it is?
he's so good in this movie. He's so funny and he
But
brings
he,
so much heart to the character and just genuine care
yeah,
as Ty, as this
I
man who
thought,
believes that his sister was murdered but has no evidence of it.
yeah, but also sometimes you just know, like you just know. But
Yeah, he said it was his
also,
gut.
yeah, that character, especially because that's how you're kind of introduced to the family through Ty. I
Yes.
thought that they were going to lampoon these people a lot more because Ty is kind of silly and like cartoonish in the beginning, but then he gets really like
He
um
gets real serious.
yeah,
Like he's like still very funny, but also he takes what he's doing in avenging his sister's death extremely seriously.
yeah. It seems funny at first and then you're like no, like I think this movie does a great job of like tightrope walking and acknowledging the ridiculousness of the premise and like the situation. But I think the way that they fully convince you of its seriousness is by having you fall in love with the woman that died
Yeah.
because it's silly and silly while she's sort of like this nebulous dead person. And then the more you get to know her, the more serious everything gets. And you're like, someone died. It's like real tight. It's like he worked
And
on
it's
this
the
a lot.
same way that Ben deals with the whole situation too, because he reacts to her in the same way we do. To us, this is just some girl who died. To him, it's just some girl who died that he happened to have hooked up with once. As it goes further along and he gets to know her family more and he gets to know who she was more, he begins to care a lot more about this story that he's telling and about what happened to this woman. And I think the rest of the ensemble that play her family for the most part are just as charming and they each have their own moment. And I think like even though they don't have their own full arcs, their existence helps Novak's exploration and it stops this movie from being filled with caricatures. Like one of the reasons I went to see this movie was Dove Cameron. I love Dove Cameron. She's great. And she doesn't have like a huge role in this movie. But BJ Novak said about her character, Kansas City. I hate that they named her Kansas City, dear God. But he said, I thought her character would be the perfect person to express that idea of a person who knows she's somebody, but she doesn't know who. And I think that's really interesting because the movie is very blatant about that about her that she wants to be famous but she doesn't know what she wants to be famous for. And that sounds ridiculous, but then it goes deeper into the idea of she doesn't know what she wants to be famous for because she doesn't know who she is. And I think that makes it less of a ridiculous concept and really more of a commentary on today's society. People
Yeah.
want to be famous. Why do you want to be famous? What do you want to be famous for? And do you know yourself enough to know these answers? And I think even though she hasn't found that thing by the end of the movie, I think that it says a lot about modern times and identity. I thought the ending of the movie was really unexpected as well. I did not see
Yes,
that outcome.
I did, but only because he brought up Chekhov.
Okay, here's the thing. I remember that. I think that I just didn't even think about it again. I think I really enjoyed that unpredictability of like,
Yeah.
if you let the movie take you on this ride, then it's very unpredictable what's going to
Yeah.
happen. VJ Novak does such a good job writing this movie, man. It's just
Yeah.
he plants little hints and little evidence of what's to come, but you'll never catch it coming if you're letting it take you on a journey.
Yeah. If you gotten lost in the movie, then you're like, I think also just like the general, he never stopped being the New York liberal, the
No.
awkward New York liberal. So I think that he played that up and didn't let the character lose that so that it would lead to a surprise at the end. So yeah, I did like that aspect of
Yeah, I
it. It was
really
clever.
also we didn't mention it, but Ashton Kutcher and Issa Rae also do really great jobs in this movie. I love the way that Issa Rae's character is used in the film. And Ashton Kutcher's fantastic.
I did not expect Issa Rae to be in this movie this long. I thought it was gonna be a cameo, like the cameo at the beginning. I thought, oh, that's nice. And then she was like in the whole movie, and I was like, yes, I love it. Also, I love
Yeah.
that at the end she was like, you have to come home because this is getting dangerous. And she's like, and honestly, I can't handle the. I love that it wasn't like I'm concerned about you. It was like, listen, if you die, I'm gonna be traumatized, and I can't
Yeah,
afford
I have to
that
go
with
to
my
therapy
insurance.
for that. I don't know if I can afford it. I just you got to come home. Like I don't know if I can
I
do this.
I loved that so much because I love that at the end she's like, "Yeah, you're an employee for me, and I need you to, do what I tell you to do."
Not even an employee for her. Like legitimately like I'm contracting you to do this because you pitched it to me. Like you
Yeah.
have to come home.
Ugh,
It's
anyway,
so good.
I love her character. I felt like she was great, and ugh, I was so glad she was in the whole movie. I really thought it was just gonna be a quick little cameo, and nope, she's in the whole thing. Love it.
I also love Ashton Kutcher's monologue about art in the film. I thought that was really good. There's just a lot of moments where like these characters are philosophizing about life. And I
Yeah.
love movies like that because I like listening to these ideas and just thinking to myself, what do I agree with? What do I not agree with? What do I slightly understand, but I'm not sure if I'm for it. And I feel like this movie has a lot of that, and I really enjoy that type of thing.
Yeah. It also, BJ Novak said that that was intentional. He had the monologue because he was like, "Listen, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to get this movie made. I needed certain people, certain names, and when you include, like, page-long monologues, it really attracts actors because, they want to
They
be
get to show
able
off.
to. Yeah, they get to show off, and so he's like, "That was intentional." So I like that it wasn't just him philosophizing, it wasn't just him being like, "Oh, let me be." He was like, "No, I've made this intentionally." So it adds, I think to me, it adds an extra layer to his writing because it means everything in here was precisely and scientifically and like, it was all put in for a specific reason and it all served a specific purpose. And it's really personally, I think it's amazing to see somebody like BJ Novak that has a very long career as a writer, a screenwriter, finally make a feature because you get to see kind of what kind of precision working in TV has, um like what kind of precision it's made him in
Mm.
terms of his writing, right? Because especially with short form comedies, you really have to like get to the point, make
Yeah,
sure
you're in
every
and out.
line is for a reason. Yeah, and so you can see the there's a word I'm looking for. It's not practicality. It's like I'll remember it later. But, like, you can see that everything had a reason, everything had a point, and it was succinct, and it was clear, and,
Yeah.
even for this feature, like so I do like that aspect of it as well. It's like, you finally get to see what this dude.
So yeah, like I said, it's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I would highly recommend it if you guys can see it in theaters while it's out now because it's a much smaller movie than most, so it's
Yeah,
probably not going to be in theaters very long. So I would recommend checking it out.
yeah, and it was made on, like, a shoestring for Hollywood budget. I think it was made for, like, a couple million, like 5 or 6 million, so
That's
$650,000.
oh,
that is a
shoot.
shoestring budget.
Yeah, that's like nothing.
That's
None of the
nothing.
actors were paid. Or they were like, "You're paid in royalties.
You know what's
You're paid
funny?
in a Golden Globe nomination."
What's funny is Dove Cameron said that she was like, I didn't even need to act in this movie. She was like, I would have like gone grocery shopping to pick up stuff for the set or whatever they needed me to do because I'm such a huge fan of BJ Novak and The Office. So she was like, I would have done anything
Yeah.
on this production. So
Also,
there you go.
BJ Novak said that he wanted it to be done so desperately that he didn't care, like, what kinda money and financing they gave him, that he was just like, "I just wanna get it made."
Well, they
But
shot it. I think Dove Cameron said like 2.5 years ago or something like that. So
okay.
yeah, there we go. It's finally out and it's really good.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Not Okay, directed and written by Quinn Shepard, starring Zoe Deutsch, Mia Isaac, and Dylan O'Brien. There are other people in this movie, but I feel like those three are the most important. And yeah, the synopsis. An ambitious young woman finds followers and fame when she poses as the survivor of a deadly attack, but she soon learns that online notoriety comes with a terrible price. So here's another movie with a message about our society, specifically social media culture and co opting the pain of other communities. I've been fascinated by the idea of this story since I heard about it, and I think the movie delivers on it. Despite knowing the main character would have to tell such a huge lie, there are several moments where I desperately wished that she wouldn't. Like
Oh, wow.
like she was about to tell the lie and I was like, "Oh no, don't do this. You can get out of this now. You don't have to do or if you're going to lie, this doesn't have to be the lie that you tell." Like, oh man, I was so invested in the relationships that she develops. I started wishing that the movie was a more straightforward, wholesome film.
Oh, yeah, I was hoping it was too when I watched all the TikToks they were making when they were making it, and then I found
Oh
out the
man.
premise and I was like, "Oh, no."
Oh no. Yeah, Zoe Deutsch is incredible as always. I've been a fan of hers since 2011 and she never disappoints. She's really good at these types of characters who make terrible choices, but she's also got a lot of range to do like all sorts of different characters. I feel like I've seen her mostly play this type though, but they're always very different. Like this one's on the verge of ditzy, I would say. So
Okay.
she and Dylan O'Brien have really great chemistry, and I just want to know where my romance movie is that stars them.
Right. Oh, ooh, yeah.
Yes. Yes. He's hella funny in this movie as a culture appropriating white boy. It's
He looks like
hilarious.
my brother. He also
I
dresses and talks like him.
yeah, him saying thanks B in the trailer is hilarious and it's not even the peak
That's a
of the stuff that he has to say in this movie.
that's literally something my brother has said to me before.
Oh no. Oh no.
My brother's
You guys can't see Colin's face, but it is a very yikes face.
Well, it's okay. Here's the thing, right? I've seen the trailer. I get, yeah, like I've heard stories about Gabby's brother being the way
Yeah.
he is. And then you just add on top that the character's name is Colin, and I just would like to not exist.
Yeah, I think my brother literally
Weed
my
boy
brother
Colin.
had
Oh, you were supposed to
Oh, that's right. Damn.
aw,
uh,
boo.
I was supposed to put
we
my name on Zencaster as Weed Boy Colin.
Ah, that would have been
forgot about
great.
that.
My brother literally had that hair, like the bleached hair, and that whole outfit looks like something that he would wear. And he talks like that. I was just like, oh God.
Oh my
This is
lord.
too
Yeah.
close to home.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so the MVP of this movie, in my opinion, though, is Mia Isaac, who plays a 17-year-old activist and school shooting survivor who befriends Danny, who is
Oh.
Zoe Deutsch's character. She has so much emotional work to do, and she comes off as so empathetic and powerful, even in the character's like harshest moments of the movie. I think that she's the reason that you wish Danny hadn't made the decision that she does. And I think that she's like the heart of the movie. She's so good. Her character has to have like a panic attack in the middle of the movie, and it's so heartbreaking, and it's just ugh. I love her so much. She does spoken word in the movie, and she's like so good at that too. But yeah, the movie's it's funny, it's amusing. I'm impressed by Quinn Shepard's bold ending choice, which was one of the main reasons I really wanted to see this movie was to see how they were going to end it. What do you give this character at the end of the movie? Do you punish them or do you give them some sort of a somewhat happy ending? As happy of an ending as you can give somebody who lies to a nation about being a victim of a terrorist attack. And I feel like I feel like most filmmakers would go for something that's very neat and tidy. She leaves it very messy, and I think that's fitting for
Ooh.
the main character that she creates. And I think it also makes you question whether Danny deserves forgiveness or whether she deserves to be a social pariah. And I just think that's interesting. I was very impressed by that choice of an ending. It's very powerful, and I think it also like really drives into this question of or not question, this criticism of co-opting other people's stories and tragedies and pains. Mia Isaac's character, because Mia Isaac is black and Filipino, so she's a woman of color. Zoe Deutsch is a white girl, and the movie does question this idea of like, here's a white woman co-opting the pain of other people, and very specifically, she writes an article about the attack, and she takes one of the lessons that Mia Isaac's character gives her, a very specific quote that she tells her, and she uses it in her article. So she quote not only, she co-ops her quote as well. And so it questions that as well on a broader scale of like, how can you do this to marginalized communities? It's really good.
Yeah. But also it's a direct correlation between real life because this kind of
Yeah.
stuff happens all the time. How do I put this? For example, recently, I think the name of the movie is Love Island.
I thought it was a
No, it's
That's
not.
a
reality
TV
show.
show.
No. Oh, what's the name of this movie? But basically, the movie is a retelling, like a direct, like modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And white women lost their
Fire
goddamn
Island.
minds. Fire Island. There we go.
Wait, what? The gay one?
Yes.
They lost their goddamn
Uh-huh.
minds because, like, so you know how I love a period piece.
Yes.
I also love Pride and Prejudice. Like, I absolutely love
Yes,
Pride and
you
Prejudice.
do.
So any and every adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, I am here for because I love it. Like, I don't care who the main characters are. And so you tell me there's going to be a gay as fuck Pride and Prejudice with Margaret Cho as Mrs. Bennet. And I'm like, fuck yeah, show it to me. And I saw it and it was brilliant. And what I liked about it was it centralized gay Asian men, which you never see, right? And the white girls that love Pride and Prejudice lost their goddamn minds. They were like, how dare these men centralize themselves? And I'm like, excuse you. This is a community we never hear from. They were complaining about the adaptation online, even though it was an almost direct, perfect, beautiful modernization of, like, it was beat for beat Pride and Prejudice. I was like, oh my God, they're in the rain. Like, like it was perfect. It was beautiful. It was so Margaret Cho as Mrs. Bennet was.
I also don't really understand why that would upset anybody because, like, if you want an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice that is faithful, by God, there are so many.
So many.
Well, they were mad.
My
that it
favorite
was
one has
men.
zombies.
They were mad that it was meant, but like,
Yeah, but I'm like,
so
but
what?
It was still a community, a diverse community that we do not see often in media. And I thought it was very clever to use a universal, famous, popular story to illustrate and talk about and center this group. But oh no, it's basically the not okay moment. And I was just like, oh God, it's exactly that.
But yeah, not okay. It's on Hulu. It's brand new, just came out. I would recommend it if you're into these types of movies. I'm super into, not super into, but I do really enjoy watching movies that are about our modern culture and making a stance or trying to say something about how our world works currently. And I think that's why I really enjoyed not just Not Okay, but also Vengeance, because both movies do that. So yeah, check it out. It's kind of ridiculous at times, but also it's very heartfelt at different moments. Have fun watching a very not very unlikable female protagonist, but she's definitely an unlikable female protagonist that you wish was more likable because of the people who are around her.
It's one of those things where it's like, this movie's going to be entertaining, but you're going to be uncomfortable the whole time because because of just the premise.
Yes, you're going to be
See, like,
uncomfortable, but you're gonna be
that's
happy
why
about it.
I'm not gonna watch this movie because from the trailer I was like, no, this whole thing is bad. It's gonna go bad. There's never really an up and then it falls. Like, no, the whole premise is just, girl, you are starting from the bottom.
I love Joy Deutsch and Dylan O'Brien, so I will be putting myself through this.
Oof.
It's a lot of fun. All right, next up, what you been watching, what you been doing, what you been reading, listening to, all that stuff, all that jazz. What y'all been up to? Gabby, you haven't been here in a minute. What you been watching or doing or
But
whatever?
I was unprepared. It's okay. You know what? I wanted to talk about this. Dallas is going to be so upset. The Gray Man, I finally watched it.
Woo!
I
We'll listen to
wasn't
it
here
later.
for that. Yeah, he's going to be like, no! Oh my God, it's the return of douchey Chris Evans. Love it.
Which you love.
Yeah, I loved piece of shit Chris Evans. I'm so glad he's back.
She loves that era.
And Lloyd was a psychopath. And I hated
might
him,
be
and I
a
love that I hated
sociopath.
him. Yeah. No, he 100% is. When the guy was like, give me my money, and he was just like, let me just real quick, pop, 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 like, kill you. No. I was like, oh, this man's unhinged. I loved that. I had already seen Chris Evans with a mustache because I saw him on Broadway and he played a piece of shit cop with one of those mustaches. So when I got Chris Evans' autograph, he was sporting the mustache. And I hate it. But it's perfect for his shitty characters. And Ryan Gosling was adorable. I wish he had caught a better break because I felt like, poor dude is just getting beat up the whole time. I love that Ana de Armas just kept saving him the whole movie. I love that, like, he was like, you know what, my ego's a little bruised. It would be nice if I got to save you for once. And I was like, oh, I love it. Yes, keep saving
It's like,
him, Ana.
nah, let her do it.
She's like, he's getting beat up. Let me meet him on the other side so I can like swoop in and save him at the last second. So I loved that. And I loved like his relationship with what is her name?
Julia Butters' character.
Yes. Yes. I love his relationship with Julia Butters. And I have been liking Billy Bob Thornton's most recent characters where he's just playing kind of like an old dignified man instead of like an old trashy creepy dude. I liked his portrayal and I was surprised that he was in the entire movie. I was like, oh, this is just going to be a cameo. Nope. No, it's not. So I enjoyed
I was
that.
surprised it was him.
Right? Me too. I was like, Billy Bob's here. Nobody told me. I was like, I thought I knew everybody that was in this movie. Turns out I did not. Oh, I hated Reggae John Page. I was like, no, don't do this to the Duke.
But he
I
was
want
so
him to be
charming.
a nice man. He was like, you could tell why he's been getting away with bullshit his whole life because he's beautiful and he's well dressed and he's like, connected.
And he's charming.
Yeah, and charming. But I don't like the Duke looking like this. And also, I did not like his glasses. Why'd they put him in? Because he was going to be too pretty.
I
Otherwise. They
liked
had
the
to bring him down.
glasses.
I didn't like them because they obscure his beautiful face. I can't see his whole face.
Barely.
But yeah, barely.
They were thin
but
frames.
I guess. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is the Gray Man was a good time. A lot of action. Liked all the characters. Yes. Give me more douchey piece of shit Chris Evans. Thank you. And that's it.
Colin, you've been watching, reading, listening to anything?
All right, so here's my concern that I want to bring up to the table.
Yes.
I didn't even make it through Beyonce's new album. It was just like, it was fine, but it wasn't hitting.
It was hitting for me. I
don't know, like Cuff It, that hit. But the rest of it, I was just like,
so
okay,
good.
this is fine. But I'm just like,
sir,
I don't
Church
know.
Girl? Church Girl and Thick with a QUE?
Alien Superstar?
My unnamed partner has been calling me Thick with a QUE since we started dating like 6 years ago. And I saw it in her album and I was like, oh my God, it's here.
All right.
Like,
well,
I don't,
that tells
I'm
you
not
guys
saying
about
it's
Colin's
bad,
taste in
but
music.
like, it's just one of those things. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to like because it's Beyonce. And it's like,
no.
Some of her music do slap. This ain't hitting for me. And I don't know if maybe Act 2 or Act 3 will hit for me, but like...
Well, you're going to find out when Act 2 and Act 3 come out.
Is she making a whole movie?
There is an Act 3?
She says it's a 3-act thing.
She said this is the first act. So I would assume that there's an Act 3.
Well, she said she said 3 acts. Yeah.
Oh, okay. She did say 3 acts. Cool.
So
I love this.
There's definitely going to be 3.
I like this album a lot, actually.
Me too. It feels like an old school album because those transitions, it feels like something you could put on the record player and just let it go because it's just going to transition beautifully.
Musical transition.
Yeah. Well, they're seamless. Like I looked down and I was like, how am I on the 5th song already? Like, when did this happen? It feels like they won't even have to mix it at the club. They could just play the album straight through.
Yeah, no. Alien, Superstar, Cuff It, and Energy is a 3 combo punch, man.
Motherfucking energy.
That's a 3 combo punch. I really enjoyed this album a lot.
Me too. Also, it's completely different from anything she's put out before to me. Even in her other albums, even though she has dance tracks, there would be moments of like, let me have a quiet R&B
a ballad
moment. Yeah. And this is like, no, we're going to the club for 16 songs. Let's go. And then she did.
It's very much a dance album, which I really did like. It never slows down for a minute. But also, I think even though it's different than a lot of her, well, basically all of her albums, it still sounds like Beyonce has a very unique sound. Like you listen to a song and you're like, that's a Beyonce song. And that's what this whole album feels like. So I think that's really cool that she has like her own kind of sound. Not a lot of pop stars can say that.
Yeah. Also Pure Honey, that one. It's just...
album's full of bangers.
I really liked it. Sorry, Colin.
Yeah, it didn't hit for Colin.
I want to listen to it again and try to figure out like what is it, because there are moments and there are songs where I'm like, yeah, this hits, but then it's like, no, this is okay, and it's like, I don't know. But Beyonce is one of those like titans of the industry that I feel like I'm supposed to like, you know?
She is.
I don't
Beyonce.
think you're supposed to like her, but I think that you
have to respect her.
She's just, yeah, you do have, that's how I feel. I feel like, yeah, sure, you don't have to like, but you have to respect her because she really does it. She does it all. She puts in the work. She's not showing up having half thought through anything. Like this was carefully pieced together.
Well, this is
in
a
every
3-act
aspect.
thing. Like, she knows what she's
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
she
every
always knows what
aspect
she's
of
doing.
it. Exactly. Like nothing Beyonce puts out is ever something she threw together. And nothing she ever performs is half thrown together. Every minute detail is thought out. And so you got to respect her.
All right, guys. So my what you've been watching. I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna stay on my theme with Zoe Deutsch and Dylan O'Brien. I watched The Outfit, which is directed by Graham
How
Moore.
was that?
He also wrote the movie with Jonathan McClain. It stars Mark Rylance, Zoe Deutsch, Dylan O'Brien, and Johnny Flynn. An expert cutter must outwit a dangerous group of mobsters in order to survive a fateful night. Movie's really original. It's tightly written. There's lots of twists and turns, and there's like a really clever lead character with Mark Rylance giving an excellent performance. It's not a very flashy movie, which is fine. It's a smaller, kind of thriller-esque piece, but it's really engaging, and I really like that.
Does it give like the sense of like a one act play? Is it like all in one place?
Yes, it very much plays out like a play. It only takes place in the tailor's, well, not the tailor, he's a cutter, in the cutter's shop. We don't go anywhere outside of that. People come in,
Yo.
people come out.
I'm
Cutter
gonna look up the
remains.
budget for this movie.
It was
Did you know they saved
$20,000.
some money?
I think it was 4
Nah.
million? Or no, I
Yeah,
think
I
it might
feel
have
like-
made 4 million.
Wait, let me see.
The Outfit. I'm gonna try
Yeah,
to
that
see
was
the
the
budget
box
without seeing
office
anything
Make
else
sure
about
you
it. 'Cause I
you
do
choose the
kinda wanna watch
2022
this.
one, because there was also one made in like the
2022
30s or
film.
something.
The budget, I don't see it listed on Wikipedia. The 4 million was the box office, yeah.
Yes. The movie like very much depends on its clever writing, since it's not like a flashy gangster film. Like you said, it's like a play. People come in and out. We're in one location, but there are different rooms in said location, so you get to move around those rooms a little bit. But there aren't that many rooms. There's like 2 or 3.
It's a shop, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shop that we're kind of walking around in. But yeah, it's got some real thrilling twists and turns, and I really enjoyed that. I really loved how intelligent and clever the cutter is, because he really does come off as somebody who you would underestimate. He seems like he has nothing really going for him except this really cool shop, and like he would be somebody who you could easily threaten. But as the movie goes on, you really discover that this guy really like he's a thinker. This guy is really thinking as everything goes forward, and you're just like, wow, how did you put that together? Like, that's really cool. And I really like that about the character. It really makes the movie engaging to watch. And once again, Zoe Deutsch and Dylan O'Brien in a romance movie win. I want them to be the next Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, because the range, because you've got the absurdity of their characters in Not Okay, and then you've got their characters in this movie where she's the good girl who just wants to travel and get out of this town, and he's the mob gangster son, prince of the gang guy who's obviously a lot of trouble, and they're like in a relationship. Like, I'm like, the range, give me all of them in every version of a love story, but please give me one that finally ends with a happy ending.
This is a period piece, right? When does it take place?
Yeah, it's a period piece. It's like the 50s or the 60s or something. They're dressed like
Okay,
old
cool.
school gangsters. They're all wearing suits and
So-
stuff.
Okay, so they went from like 2022 to like 1950. Also the range. Just saying.
Yeah. Also, both of those movies came out this year. So yeah, they went from like being 1950s characters to being like 2022 modern day characters. And those are very, very different types of roles. And they're really good in it. So give me more of Dylan O'Brien and Zoe Deutsch. They seem like they really enjoy working together, and they're really good at it. But yeah, that's
For
what I've been
reference,
watching.
where is the Outfit streaming?
You can stream it on Peacock.
Cool. I will do that. Thank you.
Yes. All right. That takes us to our news, guys. We are trailer tracking today. We've got 3 new trailers. There was a lot of news this week. We selected a few big pieces, but there was a lot this week. But yeah, starting off with trailer tracking, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. We finally got a trailer. The movie comes out in December on Netflix. Colin, you are a huge Del Toro fan. Gabby, I think you are a huge Del Toro
Yeah,
fan too.
I'm a massive too. I love
I
it.
just like
What'd you guys think?
the thing about Del Toro is like everything he does, it feels like he has a very specific perspective that he wants to capture and
He absolutely
display.
does.
And no one is doing anything like he's doing things. I'm not saying he's the best at what he does, but like nothing is like what he does. And so Pinocchio, I don't really care about Pinocchio as a concept. you tell me Guillermo del Toro's doing Pinocchio. Okay, what's that going to look like? What is it going to mean? And I'm surprised how not dark this looks right now. I'm going to say right now because I know that's going to have some darkness in it, because I think he said it's set against the rise of like fascism in Italy. So it's like, it's going to get bad.
1940s.
Also, the story of
1930s.
Pinocchio is already very dark in and of
Yeah.
itself.
Mhm.
But this trailer
Mhm.
does come across as probably one of the most wholesome things that Guillermo del Toro has made in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I
I
think I
don't
said
trust
it's
it.
like, what did I say? It was like cute and creepy.
It is
Yeah.
cute and creepy.
Which is his vibe.
It is cute with a creepy vibe.
Yeah, that's what it is. But what was I going to say? Well, I think part of why Guillermo del Toro is able to have such a unique, I don't know if other directors can do this, but he is an extremely good artist. Like he can paint and draw very well. And for every movie that he makes, he has a detailed like moleskin where he actually does the images himself. So it's coming directly from his mind to paper. And so I feel like that's way easier to illustrate to a concept artist, right? When you're like, well, this
Mhm.
is what it looks like versus
Yeah,
like having to describe it.
yeah.
Which
So
is
it's
also
Some
much
super
easier.
impressive because like the shit in his movies is so weird looking
yeah.
Yeah,
that, yeah, you could try to describe to me what like the angel in Hellboy 2 is going to look like. I'd be like, what the fuck is that shit? But if you can draw it and give me an idea,
exactly.
like, and then I can reproduce that, like, first of all, your ideas are fucking wild. That's awesome. But second of all,
Yeah.
like, thanks, because like shit, your ideas are fucking wild.
Yeah, there are some directors that do have artistic ability, which is very helpful, mind you. I say, as somebody who does direct, having artistic ability is definitely super helpful because then you can just, it's so much easier to explain to people what your vision is. Because that's a lot of what directing is. It's just trying to explain to people, this is the vision, this is what we're going for. Guillermo del Toro, I mean, I don't like to throw this word around casually. He is a visionary in and of himself. This guy does
Yeah.
not make anything that does not look different from everything else. He's very imaginative. I don't think there are a lot of directors with that sort of artistic ability that are making the types of movies that Del Toro does. He's a very genre guy.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching Light and Magic, the new documentary on Disney Plus, and one of the visual effects artists who was working at ILM when it was first formed by George Lucas for Star Wars, they were talking about how George Lucas, he may not have been the greatest artist. He could get across the idea of what he wanted in a very crude sketch even
Okay.
if he
Yeah,
wasn't the
that's
best
me.
artist. It was like, here's a very crude sketch of what I'm looking for. And then they would create something based off of that. But it was
Mm.
good enough to get the detail across of here's what I'm
Yeah.
looking for. And yeah, that type of thing is very helpful when you're a director. Otherwise, you got to hire a concept artist to try and figure out what
And
you're
like
going for.
describe to them. You're like, okay, so this is what
Yeah.
I'm going for. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not it. So go back to the, I know you worked hours on this, but it's wrong. So go back.
With big imaginative pieces like that, it is very hard to pitch or describe what your vision is and to have people pick it up. I understand that I did a short film that had magic in it. And in the pre production phase of it, a lot of people didn't quite understand what I was going for. I think even my crew probably didn't understand the look that I was trying to achieve in the midst of us actually making the thing. And then once we got to post production and I'd put an edit together, even without the visual effects in there, I had teachers that were like, "Oh, well, now I see what you're trying to create and what you're doing." Yeah, it can be very difficult, and Guillermo del Toro is very good at what he
Yeah.
does.
Every once in a while, he loans out his sort of collection to the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. And I highly recommend anybody that likes his films or anybody just generally to go and look at them because they've scanned his mole books for a few films. And so that you can
Nice.
like digitally flip through them and they'll have the moleskin like in front of you open to a particular page. So you can actually see like his thought process in real like life.
That's awesome.
And it's
Yeah.
so cool.
I like Guillermo del Toro. I think he's really imaginative. I haven't watched a lot of his movies because they're creepy. But Pacific Rim is
Mm.
my favorite del Toro film.
Cinema.
Cinema.
Shape of Water.
And I wasn't particularly interested in Pinocchio, but now that I've seen a trailer for what his Pinocchio is going to be, I'm very interested to see it. I think the animation looks really, really good. Like it's
Me
stop
too.
motion, but it looks like 3D animation, which is very
It's
impressive.
very fluid.
I know. I love stop motion. It
I do too.
unsettles me in a weird way that I
Doesn't
am like
unsettle
cool
me,
with.
but okay.
I don't I think it's the movement, but
You
I
and Colin
really like
both.
it regardless.
Yeah, I don't
I
like stop motion, but this I can be okay with.
it's beautiful. It's just beautiful and I'm excited to see it. At first, I wasn't because I was like, I mean, it's just Pinocchio. I've heard it before. It's been done. But once I saw it, I was like, oh no, I'm down. I'm definitely gonna watch this. So
And supposedly Disney's Pinocchio is coming out sometime around the same time, so we'll see
Wait,
how
are they
that
doing
goes.
a live action
Yeah,
that you
Wow.
said is coming out around the same time?
I think theirs is supposed to come. Supposedly theirs is supposed to come out in November. That's the word right now. And
Why
then
has
Del
there
Toro's
been
is coming
no
out in December.
marketing?
There has been, but it's been like from like D23 and stuff like that. We'll
Oh,
probably
okay.
get a better look at it in the upcoming D23, which is in September. But it has Tom
Gotcha.
Hanks as Geppetto.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I have heard about this. I have.
Also, the cast for Del Toro's is actually very good too. Ewan McGregor's in there. I love
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, visually beautiful. Can't wait. Next one,
Next one, Gabby, this is all you. Never Have I Ever, season 3. They got a trailer.
me. Yes. Okay, I love Never Have I Ever. You know, just picking up where last season left off, Davy and the beautiful ass, I can't remember his name. But Davy's finally in a relationship. She's and it looks like this season's gonna be sort of learning that it doesn't matter if you have a boyfriend, your life's not gonna be fixed. And I just love this show is both ridiculous but extremely heartfelt. So I'm just excited to see the sort of teen shenanigans that will ultimately also make me cry. I'm really sad that she's not with the other guy because I did ship that. But you know, it's cool. It's fine. Hopefully it'll work out in the end. And I'm just excited. I love the show. It's hilarious. Mindy Kaling, she makes great shows in my opinion, and just excited to watch this season.
All right. Well, that was Gabby for Never Have I Ever. Next up, we have Netflix's Blonde, which finally has a trailer. I've been waiting the last few years for this movie. What did you guys think of the trailer?
It looks like a movie that isn't for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like I can respect what it's doing, and it's a very specific thing. I didn't know that it's based on a Joyce Carol Oates book and not just like on the life of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, no, yeah. It's
Oh, yeah.
based on a book.
I did know that. Yeah.
But like, I mean, it looks like y'all are going to be in for some sad times.
I mean, Marilyn Monroe lived a tragic life. So if you're getting something about Marilyn, it's going to be something tragic. I mean, if you're getting something that's based on her life, it's going to be something tragic.
Yeah. Versus like having her as a cameo. I was worried that Anna's accent would distract me, but it looks like she worked really hard.
It's still there.
Which I commend her for. It is there, but it's not like
It's not as heavy as it usually is.
yeah.
But her accent is definitely still there. Like they weren't looking for perfection of her mastering an American accent.
No, but also you could tell that she worked on it. Like it's significantly like reduced.
Less.
At least for for this character. And I didn't expect her to look so much like Marilyn. So I feel like watching the movie, I'll just get lost. And I'm sort of glad that they're taking the approach of, or it seems like the approach is that Marilyn Monroe's an idea. Because I feel like lately, I feel like people have sort of been exploiting Marilyn her entire life, but lately it just seems like they really have been going for it. Particularly
Is that because of was it Kim Kardashian?
The Met Gala thing? Ugh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I personally would like if people would let her rest. But
she's also such an icon that they'll never let her rest.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But if we're going to tell a story about her, I do want people to see her as much more of a human being and someone that was sort of taken advantage of by literally everybody around her, and somebody that just wanted to be loved and cared for and not be alone in the world. So I do like that that's the approach that this movie's taking. It looks like they're taking a humanizing approach. I sort of respect that they didn't go for an American actress, because I saw a comment online that was like, I like that they didn't go for just like a cookie cutter white woman, because Marilyn's iconic and it makes sense that like not just American girls would want to play her, right? Like
that's true.
Other women
Not to mention
across the world would.
I feel like it's appropriate to have someone who isn't, as you said, like cookie cutter play an icon, because you want something to set her apart.
Yeah.
And I feel like even just like the accent helps.
Yeah, the only quote unquote cookie cutter blonde actress I would go for to play Marilyn would be probably Scarlett Johansson or Ivy Lynn, because nobody's going to play a better Marilyn Monroe than Ivy Lynn. Only the Smash fans out there are going to understand that reference.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's the best Marilyn Monroe we're ever going to get. Yeah, I'm somebody who I'm a fan of Marilyn Monroe, even though I haven't seen a lot of her movies. Anybody in the audience, feel free to comment down below and let me know which ones I should watch because I would love
Oh,
to.
I'll tell you.
Nice.
I
I've seen
have.
Some Like It Hot, and I love Some Like It Hot.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I love old movies, so I would love to watch more Marilyn Monroe movies. I've been excited about this movie for a long time because I love Marilyn Monroe. I love Ana de Armas, and I've been really excited to see her play something like this, to do something like this, and for her to be the lead. So all eyes are on her. I'm very interested to see what they do. The movie is NC-17, and it was pushed that it would be NC-17 by the director the entire time. I don't know why it's NC-17, and I am
I was
curious as
just
to
gonna
why.
ask
I'm
because, like,
afraid.
yeah, that was my first thought when you posted the trailer in the chat. Was like, wait, this is the NC-17 one? What? I mean, obviously they can't show the NC-17 stuff,
Yeah,
but the
not in the
fact that it
trailer.
wasn't even like red band,
It's also like
what is it?
NC-17 for some sexual content.
See, that's what I don't like when it comes
Well,
to Marilyn stuff. Like, what are you guys
what is
doing?
that? See,
Like,
that's
let her
okay. So
rest.
it's not that there's a lot of sexual content; it's that there is some, but who boy, you're gonna see a lot.
I guess
See,
so. The writer of the book has seen the movie, and she
Uh-huh.
said that she thinks it is a very feminist take on the Marilyn Monroe story, even though it's
To
done by
be
a man.
honest, I don't give a shit what Joyce Carol Oates thinks. She has some bad opinions, but
Ooh,
what are she?
I
She
don't know
does.
anything
She
about her.
does. She was the one who was just on Twitter being like, "Oh man, I've had my white men friends in publishing be like, no one wants to publish me anymore.
Oh,
What's
okay.
happening to the
Well,
world?" And I'm like, Joyce, shut the fuck up. But anyway,
what a little bitch. No, I'm just kidding. Never mind.
anyway, the
I'm
movie
stupid.
though.
the movie though, yeah, I am curious as to why it's NC-17. I was gonna watch the movie regardless of what its rating was because, like I said, I love Ana de Armas, and her playing Marilyn Monroe sounds like really interesting to me. And the director, who is also the writer, Andrew Dominic, said that the script contains little dialogue, and he described the film as being an avalanche of images and events. And I also want to know what that means. So I'm excited to see what he's come up with. I've been waiting for such a long time for a trailer. I've been waiting for a release date. It's coming out September 28th on Netflix.
Me
So like,
too.
wait, I have a question though about the I guess the industry and rating. So I know that the MPAA is kind of silly anyway, but it's an NC-17 movie that's on Netflix. So there's
Yes.
no way to forbid, as far as I understand it, people who cannot watch NC-17 movies in a theater from seeing it.
Yeah.
So what?
I don't know. I don't know if Netflix would maybe they've got something in their coding
They
or in
might
their
have parental
system.
controls or something, but
Maybe.
They have, like, is this channel for kids? And then they won't show any of that stuff on there. But that's about it. They don't have, like, is this channel for 14-year-olds or 17-year-olds and under? They don't have
see,
that.
that's yeah,
But
because
they
it's like
do
I
have it for
understand that
little children.
it's a movie, so you have to rate it. But what does that rating matter when it's on a streaming platform that anyone can access as long as they have an account information? Like,
Well,
The kid doesn't even have
if
to
this
go onto their own account. They can just go onto their parents' account. And
true.
you can erase your viewing history. I've done it because
Also
I've been
that.
hacked before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason that this has a rating is because they likely want it to be an awards vehicle. And if they want it to be an awards vehicle, it's required to have a theatrical run. It doesn't have to have a wide theatrical run, but it has to have a
That's true.
theatrical run.
Right, you can
in
just be in like
the-
LA for a week or some shit. But
Yeah.
Which
It
I'm
just has
hoping
to be
it
in the
does because I really want to
country.
see it in theaters.
I
Yeah,
feel
it
like it would.
probably
This
will.
looks like the kind of movie that
If the
they
Gray
want
Man
to
did-
win Oscars.
If the Gray Man had a theatrical run, this one will too. I
Did
feel
it?
like. Yeah, it did.
Oh,
Yeah, it was in theater. I mean,
Well,
I think it's
this
only in
movie
theaters
has
for like a
Oscar
week.
bait written all over it. They know what they want.
listen, if it gets Ana de Armas an Oscar nomination, I will be super excited.
Yeah, I mean, because she deserved one for, what's it called? For oh my God, for Knives Out. My brain.
Oh, I think we were gonna say Blade Runner. That one too.
No,
Oh,
Blade
that
Runner, she
one too,
definitely
for
could
sure.
have earned one.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Also,
for sure.
for the record, Blonde is not a straight biography of Monroe. It is a heavily fictionalized version of her story, the book as well as the movie.
Alrighty.
Oh, apparently the book features some shocking graphic scenes.
Oh, great. See,
Which
this
the
is
The
director
movie
is-
might too if it got that rating.
Well, the director apparently insisted on them being in there. So
see, this is my. Is it a man?
okay.
This is my problem with any sort of Marilyn Monroe adaptation. Y'all just can't keep it cool with her. You have to do this sort of like wild stuff just
Well,
because
wasn't
she was.
like super sexualized in life? Like
No,
while she was still alive?
not really. She was
not
like,
I mean
how do
by
I put
other
it?
people, I mean.
Yeah,
not
by
like
other
her being sexual.
by
But
other people, and like Hugh Hefner almost ruined her career because when she was desperate and poor, like coming up as a model before she reached like acting fame. She did pose
Mhm.
nude, and then Hugh Hefner, without her permission, purchased those photos and used them as the first issue of Playboy without her consent.
Oh.
So since then, people have, because of that sort of Playboy spread where she has posed nude, I think people associate and think that, oh, it's totally okay for us to sexually pose and show Marilyn, which is my
Mm-hmm.
problem, where I'm like, just let her rest. Like, please, like, you don't do this with any other classic movie actress. Like,
The director confirmed that there is a rape scene.
yikes.
Oh,
So I might not be able
okay.
to watch this movie. I
Oh,
might tap out.
Gabby, I will inform you. I will probably watch it, and I will just inform you. I will probably just try and skip through that because I would prefer
Yeah.
not to watch something like that, especially if it's graphic.
Like, I've seen a sexual assault scene in a movie before, and I was like, no, thank you, never again.
Sure,
No
that's fair.
thanks.
But yeah, that is Blonde, and I guarantee you one of us will be reviewing it when it comes time.
Oh, I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it.
Oh, I'm looking forward
and
to
we'll
it.
see if I can handle watching it.
Yeah, let's jump through the news real quick, even though all four of these are decently big pieces of news. The first one is Destin Daniel Cretton is set to direct Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. For those who
Ooh.
don't know, Destin Daniel Cretton also directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings for Marvel.
On the one hand, I kind of like it when they bring directors back because it's like, hey, we liked what you did on this. Do you want to do more? It's kind of cool. On the other hand, sometimes they do that and it's the Russos and they're fine.
I agree with you on that one.
You don't like the Russos?
As I said, they're
fine.
But like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen Shang-Chi, so I can't like speak to how well he directs a Marvel movie or whatever. But like,
he did a great job with Shang-Chi.
Yep.
It's
The action,
so-
chef's kiss.
Yeah,
like,
beautiful.
This is one of those things that just, it makes me think about, I don't know how the industry works because when is Kang Dynasty scheduled to release?
2025.
And obviously that may change. But like, they have a director 3 years out.
Yes, and they should
So-
for a movie this big because you're going to need a lot of
Right, but
preparation.
That's like,
Yeah.
how does that? I just wonder what stage are they in? Is it just an idea? Is someone writing a script? Like, how does that work?
With
if you have a
Marvel,
director?
because Marvel is so planned out ahead of time, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody right now is writing the script or starting to write the script. It's definitely something that, I mean, it's obviously been developed because they announced it. I don't think that they would announce something that they hadn't like developed and thought through to a certain extent. At least
And
not
firmly
anymore.
committed to?
Not since the
Yeah.
Inhumans.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they definitely want to, with the Avengers movies especially, I think they want to pin down directors early on in advance because that's going to take a lot of preparation because it's going to take a lot of moving pieces. This is going to be their next Infinity War Endgame level event, which means that you have to be prepped for something like this.
See, at the same time, though, if you're, is it Destin Daniel Cretton? Is that
Yes.
the order?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
I get used to putting the Daniel first, but it's not. If you're him, how does that then affect your ability to work on other projects for the next few years?
It probably stops you from working on other projects, but also he's working on a Wonder Man series right now for Marvel anyway.
Oh.
So he's booked up already. He's just well in advance booked up.
Okay.
Yeah. He's also a really nice guy, by the way.
Oh.
I saw him at a film festival last year. He seemed like a real cool dude, real nice. But yeah, he's got a couple of other movies that are currently in production as well and some other stuff that are in development. But yeah, that Avengers movie, you want to get a director pinned down as quickly as possible. And I'm certain that they are probably also currently looking for a director for Secret Wars as well. I think it's interesting that it's not going to be Destin Daniel Cretton, but also that movie is coming out so quickly behind the Kang Dynasty that it probably is a good idea for them to get a different director to be in charge of that one. Yeah, he might want a break after that.
He's going to need a vacation.
I'll be curious to see how those two movies connect to each other. Is it going to be an Infinity War Endgame type of thing where it's one right after the other and they connect to each other so closely?
I feel like if that were the case, they would have, because originally Infinity War was supposed to be a 2-part thing and then they changed it to Endgame. And I feel like they would have done something similar if that's what these were supposed to be.
I mean, I feel like they'll be connected, obviously.
Well, yeah.
I feel like Infinity Endgame was the Infinity War Part 2. They just didn't want to call it Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. It absolutely was.
It is.
But Secret Wars is...
Yeah, I don't see how that and Kang Dynasty...
I don't know much about... Is that Doctor Doom?
No,
Battle World and shit?
It's the battle world for sure. Secret Wars will be interesting because maybe they'll just have very different stories. Because we said, Infinity War and Endgame kind of like depend on one another to
Right.
really like tell a full story. Maybe for the Kang Dynasty, you won't need to tell like a full story in a new film to finish it, but maybe it will set off something that does kick off Secret Wars. It's all multiversal though, for sure.
Right. That was going to be my point.
I mean,
is that like
that's what this whole setup was right now.
They're dealing with. I can see the two connecting. Kang does some weird multiversal stuff, and then whoop, battle world.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we don't have much more information than that. I like Destin Daniel Cretton's directing of Shang-Chi. I'm interested to see what about his directing from that movie they were interested in to bring him onto the Kang Dynasty, because yes, these are Marvel movies. They are similar, but Shang-Chi was still a martial arts movie. And I don't think the Kang Dynasty is going to be that.
Probably not.
Yeah. But
no, but it did have some it did have world building and introduction of pretty complicated new characters. So that may have given him an edge.
Maybe.
Or not complicated, but like an introduction of characters.
Yeah. But I don't think there's going to be much character introduction done. I hope not, because at this point, we'll have done all the character introductions with all the movies that we're getting with Phase 4.
That's true. But also, like, I think they do like sort of interviews for these. They don't just ask someone. So he may have been part of a pool of directors they already had, and he brought in visuals and a plan that aligned with what Marvel wanted. Because
maybe
James Gunn talked in detail about Marvel's process for directors.
And Chloe Zhao has also talked about it, or at least Kevin Feige has talked about how Chloe Zhao ended up being a director for them.
Yeah. So generally they have a pool of people that they're interested in. They reach out to them and then they make a presentation basically. And so I feel like perhaps when they do Avengers movies, they ask a pool of directors they've already worked with, because
yeah, for sure.
Maybe he just showed something that they were like, yes, that's what we want.
Speaking of sequels, though, The Gray Man is getting a sequel and a spinoff, which is in the works at Netflix.
Yes. Wait, spinoff? Did they? Sorry, I didn't catch the spinoff.
The spinoff is being written by the guys who wrote Deadpool.
Oh yes, I did hear about that. Never mind.
And then the sequel will be done by the same guys who did the first movie. I liked the first one well enough. I hope that the next ones are better.
Yeah. I have a question about, because I haven't done research. Do we know if The Gray Man is an original idea?
No, it's based off of a series of books. There's like 9 books or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And they're hoping to make all 9 of them.
Ryan Gosling said yes to 9.
Ryan Gosling said he's always dreamed of doing an action movie, and he's never gotten the opportunity until now, because action movies were what he grew up on and what made him fall in love with movies. So he sounds like he's down to keep playing this character for as long as he's able to play it.
Oh, I'm so glad for him then. Okay, then F it. Like, I'm glad he likes this, and I hope Netflix delivers. I personally thought these movies were fun.
Yeah, it's fun. He said this one is tough because there are 9 books. I think there are. I will be a gray man if I do all of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down. Did they specify the spinoff? Is it for Ana de Armas?
Right?
Or is it for Ana?
No, they just said it's a spinoff.
Because if it's for her, I'm like, yes. Boo. Okay. All right. Well,
but yeah, it's being written by Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, and the sequel will be written by Stephen McFeely and one of the Russo brothers, whoever wrote the first one. And then the Russo brothers will be back to direct.
Very nice. All
but
right.
Their plan was always to build a universe around these movies. Gabby's excited. I mean, Chris
I had a great time.
Coming back.
No, but like, I like me an action movie, and I like this little world, and I want Regé-Jean Page's character to go down. Okay, so I'm here for that.
I'm interested to see what happens to Jessica Henwick's character and Ana de Armas' character.
Yeah, so the supporting cast is great. I figured Chris Evans had to die because that motherfucker was evil, and he needs to go.
Pure evil.
Yeah, but I had a great time watching him.
All right. Speaking of people returning to stuff, David Krumholtz is returning to the Santa Claus TV series as Bernard. Thank you.
Okay, quick question. Is involved in it?
Yes, he's still the Santa Claus.
The main character.
Well, any chance I had of watching that one out the window. Cool.
I'm still going to watch it because I love the Santa Claus series. And Elizabeth Mitchell's coming back as his wife. And But apparently the show is about him trying to find a new Santa Claus because he's getting a little too old for the job.
Okay,
Do you
I'm
think they'll
willing to
kill
bet
him?
money that what's going to happen is he's going to find a Santa Claus who isn't just like a white man, and people are going to be so mad.
And Tim Allen will probably be mad too.
Well,
yeah.
it's
Gonna be
also
woke.
being executive produced by the same people who did Last Man Standing. Is that the name of his TV show that he does?
Oh, then no, they're just gonna
Oh.
pick another white man. They're just gonna pick another white man.
But anyway, I love the Santa Claus movies. Well, I love the first two Santa Claus movies. The third one is
The third one is a mess, but yeah,
it's a
sure.
mess. I am so happy that Bernard is back. I love David Krumholtz as Bernard. Bernard is such an iconic Santa Claus character. I wonder if Charlie's going to come back. That's the only person that they haven't mentioned at
Brought
all
back?
in any of this.
No. Oh, they haven't even mentioned him?
No, they haven't mentioned whether or not Charlie's coming back. I want Charlie to come back. He's the oldest. Well, now he's the oldest son.
Does he still act?
I don't know if he
That
still acts, but even then, like, even if that actor doesn't act, like, we haven't seen him since he was a teenager anyway. Just hire a grown man to play Charlie.
You're right. They could just do
And
that.
call it, like, they recast the little girl from Enchanted because she doesn't act anymore.
Okay.
So
Alright.
you know, but yeah, I want to know what's going on with Charlie. They better mention him. Like, he's the main reason that the first movie happens at all.
Right? And that child was a great actor.
Yeah, and to do a show that does not mention his oldest son, because now he's got two other children. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But I'm glad Bernard's back. That was one of the only things that I really wanted from this show, because he wasn't in the third movie.
Yeah, well, because David Krumholtz was like, "Yeah, I read this. This is trash," and Moon walked out of there. I'm just kidding.
Probably.
He's like, "Yeah, like no thanks." Yeah, I'm glad he's coming back, and also like, I love David Krumholtz. Bernard was like the best part of that first movie. Anytime I saw Bernard, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be okay. He's here. He knows what to do."
As he should. He's the head elf.
Yeah.
You put on the suit, you're the big guy.
Also, I loved his like no, even though he was like 15, 16, I love how no nonsense he was. He was just like exasperated and tired the whole time.
He was a grown man in a teenage body, and now he's just going to be a grown man in a grown man's body.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm excited. Can't wait. Can't wait to see.
And finally, the last return on this list, Batfleck is returning in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
I would just like to say that I watched that happen in real time because I was on Jason Momoa's story when he was posting about it. He was like, "Oh, we just got caught," and then
I'm
he
happy
goes,
for him. I'm happy for them. I am so tired.
I thought Ben Affleck was still on his honeymoon.
"Right?" I was like, "What you doing in LA, bro?"
That shit's short. He said, "No, J-Lo, I gotta go be
He's
Batman."
like, I have to work.
Well, I mean, it's not just a honeymoon. Like, it's them and all their kids are also with them too.
Oh,
He
really?
said, "Nah,
adorable.
fuck them kids. I
Yeah,
gotta go be Batman."
It's a family
He said-
honeymoon.
Aw, I mean, cute, but
He's probably headed back to the honeymoon as we speak. Yeah, this
he's
is
like,
a
"Yeah, I'll go do
surprise
that."
because Ben Affleck definitely said he was done playing Batman. Maybe he just doesn't want to do his own solo Batman film. Maybe he's just cool with showing up in all these different places as small roles.
That might
But, like,
that might be it.
does
and
he know
honestly-
what this will do to the discourse?
Who cares?
I don't think he cares.
I mean, he doesn't have to, but
And honestly, I
I
think he
have
was
to
doing a
see
favor
it.
for Jason Momoa.
And I think he's just having fun. Like, it just looks like he's having fun.
Which is good because he said that he left the role because he wasn't having fun and he wasn't enjoying himself. So, I mean, if he's coming back and he's enjoying himself, that's great. I don't think he's going to be the main timeline Batman because Michael Keaton is, they've already filmed Batgirl. And we've already made it very clear that that's going to be on the main timeline. So, like, Keaton's still going to be this universe's Batman.
has there been recent official word about the terrorist of Hawaii?
No, there has been no word on Ezra Miller. I'm sure they're
Cool.
still on the run.
I feel like this is universe telling DC, stop trying to make a Flash movie happen. It's not going to happen, and I don't want you to have it
It
happen.
should happen though, because The Flash is great. Snyder just chose.
Which, to be fair, he didn't know he was doing at the time.
No,
yeah,
he didn't.
at the time, he was normal. Or they were normal.
Yeah.
That we
but
knew
now
of.
they're- Batman in, I mean, I imagine it'll be like a cameo or something.
It's definitely a cameo because this is being done during reshoots.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it's
Yeah.
probably, I'm gonna be honest, my theory, my assumption is that it's a flashback because that suit that Ben Affleck is wearing in those photos looks hella familiar. It looks
Yeah.
like one of the suits he was wearing in Justice League.
Oh, okay.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe this is a flashback to a conversation Arthur and Bruce had at one point. Maybe this is something that'll improve the story. Maybe something that Arthur's dealing with. Maybe it'll touch upon Ben Affleck's Batman no longer being in this universe. I don't know. But I mean, hey, if Ben Affleck is having a good time coming back to play this character, then by all means, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
as long as he's enjoying himself. Because my concern was all these people were like, bring back Ben Affleck. And it's like, guys, he said that the role helped lead him back to drinking. Like, that's
Yeah,
not
I
Oh,
know.
healthy.
yikes. Oh, no. Poor guy.
But to me, that doesn't matter. All we want is what we want.
I know. I know.
Oh,
But it seems
gosh.
like he's in a happy place. He's recently married. He's playing Batman again, apparently. So, you know, hey, have a good time, man.
Yeah.
I love him. Batfleck is my second favorite portrayal of Batman.
Me too. I like Batfleck.
He got a lot of slack. It's not his fault that those movies weren't great.
Yeah, I thought he was the best part of those movies, to be honest. Except for the, the Martha bit. That was silly. But that
And
wasn't
killing
him, though.
people indiscriminately.
Yeah. But like, again,
Yeah, but
that was not
wasn't
him. That
his
was
choice.
the writing. That was the writing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not going to fault an actor for a mistake that was made by the director and writers.
But yeah, the return of Batfleck. We'll find out what that's about next year.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think The Flash is coming out after Aquaman is now. Aquaman was originally supposed to come out after The Flash. So maybe that's why they have him returning to the movie. Maybe it's
The
not
Flash
a
is never
flashback.
coming.
The Flash is coming out. WB can't afford to lose all that money.
To me,
The
you know
Flash
who you
is never
sound like?
coming out. You just sound
You know who
like
you sound
Dallas.
like right now? You sound like Dallas. You sound like Dallas with New Mutants. And yes, that did come out, but how long did he have to hold that torch?
And was it
Listen.
even worth it when it did? Like,
Listen,
did it?
I actually think that this will be worth it. Like, Ezra Miller aside, Andy Muschietti, from what I hear, is a really good director, and those trailers looked really, really good.
I mean,
So, like,
the It
I mean,
movies do
he
slap.
is.
So
The It movies are fantastic.
and Christina Hodson wrote it, and I love Christina Hodson.
did she do Birds of Prey?
Yes, and she also did Bumblebee.
Oh,
Ugh,
ooh,
okay, wait.
that was the
They
one
don't-
Transformers movie that I've seen that was actually good.
That's
like
the
the
only
Flash
good
movie-
Transformers movie that I was
Except the
bitter
first
about
one.
because I was like, fine. That I was bitter about because it was like the 17th one. And I'm like, how are you going to get good now?
After I already gave up.
Yeah, I gave up 7 years ago. It's fine. Continue.
I gave up a decade ago. Why are you? Anyway, but yeah, she wrote it. The directors are really good. Like, this movie could be really, really good. Like, they're gonna release it, and they have to, because then, sure, they're gonna lose. They might lose money,
They've already lost
but they
so
won't
much.
lose as much as not releasing it.
Hmm. Well, see, here's the thing, right? Then you get into a discussion of, are they losing money?
Yes,
Because they're making
Because
that
they
money
spent
back
it.
up in other ways, or are they not making money? There's a difference there.
they're not making a profit off of the product that they made. That's just bad business.
That they've spent like decade
I
making.
mean, I
trying
guess,
to
but
make
like
this.
when your main actor is
that
harassing
them.
people left and right, I mean, sometimes you care, sometimes you don't, but
Listen, they'll put out the movie, and they'll hope that by that point, all of that stuff will go down.
they're about to
It's
put
not-
one of those like Disney, like, hey, warnings at the beginning of the movie, like, hey, yeah, we know, we're sorry, but like, we need to get this movie out.
I
It's gonna
mean,
end with just Aquaman just killing him.
listen, if Disney can put out Death on the Nile after all of Army Hammer's rumors, WB can put out The Flash.
You know what? That's fair. Like, yeah,
Armie
now his
Hammer,
life
who's
is in
like-
shambles, but the movie still came out, so I can see it.
That's true. I just think it's hilarious that like Armie Hammer's over here working at a hotel. He had one of the most high-grossing films of the year. He has no money. He probably deserves it. Next.
Well, there's no more news. That's it for us today, guys. What are you guys looking most forward to? Did you guys enjoy the news? Did you enjoy any of the movies that we talked about today? Have you guys seen Vengeance? What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Not Okay? Or are you guys planning to watch them at all? Let us know in the comments below, or hit us up on, oh my gosh, I didn't plan to do this. Wow. I wasn't planning to do this. Thank you to Crown Digital, Brandon and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm not going to thank myself because I think that's really, really weird. Thank you, Gabby, for going to see Vengeance. I was so happy to have somebody to talk to about it because I thought it was great. Thank you, Colin, for vibing with us. And I'm really glad you were here because we got to talk about the Pinocchio trailer, and you've been waiting a while for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dallas, for nothing. No, I'm kidding. You're not here, and it's very rare that you're not here. So sorry that you missed
Wow,
out.
she just came for that man's whole life.
He does
This
that
may be,
whenever
like,
one
the
of you
first
guys aren't
time.
here.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
True,
You're
he
right.
does. He
He's
comes
always
for
like, "Oh,
mine.
Gabby doesn't love us."
Yeah.
I'm Dallas.
And
Now I left for a weekend. Bitch.
for the first time ever. Like, I think this is the first one he's missed.
In a long time.
He
He's
has
missed
missed
some,
some, but very
but-
Oh, okay.
rarely.
It's very rare. Me and him are always here. But yeah, let us know what you guys thought. Tell us in the comments down below, or you guys can find us on Twitter at y'all_different. You guys can find us on Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast. And you guys can find us at facebook.com/Creative Differences PC.
You can find me on the Instagrams at Stegosaurus.
You can find me on Twitter at DuckMcGuck.
And as I said before, if you guys have any Marilyn Monroe movie recommendations, please hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us. You guys can find Dallas at... Ooh, anybody have a good one?
I don't know.
No, damn it. I didn't
I
think of
abandoned my
one.
friends to go camping, even though I do that every year. Like, that's, it's too long.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, none of us actually thought this through beforehand. Sorry, Dallas, you don't get a fun one.
That's what you get. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no. You can find Dallas at WeedBoyDallas on Twitter and Instagram. There we go.
Hey, there we go.
Thank you guys for joining us again. It's been different.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, guys, we managed to get through that one.
Honestly, I feel like Dallas should sell weed. Like, he doesn't like his job.
What?
He doesn't like his job. He needs a way out.
I feel like he would be the worst person in the world to sell weed.
Are you kidding me? With his vibe, he'd be the best person.
He has the vibe for it, but I don't think he has the knowledge for it.
Yeah.
Well, but
you have to be able to
learn.
recommend stuff to people. And if you don't smoke,
I'm just saying, Dallas, you want a career change. Think about it.